Alright, hello and welcome back to the Zephyr Lapis Wheel of Revolutions. For those of you who might be watching later on YouTube and don't know me yet, my name is Aaron Stormriver, and this is my personal project of the year, which is to create a cycle of seasonal ritual meditations that follow my personal path. The last ritual we did about a month ago was the Rite of Bone Tending. But don't worry if you missed that one, because although these rituals are designed to lock together in a sort of continuity, knowledge of the previous ones are not required to understand what's going on here. Though, if you feel like it, by all means, go back and watch the first one. It'll give you some context. The rite that we'll be doing tonight is called the Rite of Ascension, also known as the Day of Rebirth. It is a celebration of the return of spring, the return of the sun, and to new beginnings at the beginning of a new cycle, now that the previous one has been laid to rest. There are two main inspirations that I took to create this rite. The first one is the legend of the solar bark, also called the Ship of Ra in Egyptian mythology. That is the ship that carries the sun across the sky and dips down into the underworld at the end of each day, and then is reborn in the morning. This ritual kind of takes that concept and stretches it across the year rather than just in 24 hours. And as we celebrate the return of the sun in spring, we will also be celebrating the descent of the sun from autumn, for those of you who will be still joining me then. The other major inspiration for tonight's ritual is everyone's favorite thought experiment, the Ship of Theseus. If you're not familiar with the Ship of Theseus, it is a thought experiment regarding whether or not a ship that has been rebuilt piece by piece is still conceptually the same ship or an entirely new one. I think that this concept is very important to how we should look at each cycle as time continues forward. As we continue through the cycles, we lose things. And things change. Circumstances change. People change. At the beginning of every cycle, we have to ask ourselves, what have we lost, and what is taking the place of those pieces? How are we rebuilding our ship that's going to take us across the sky? What can we do to make sure that that ship sails the way that we want it to a future that we want to reach? Those are the questions that I want you to be thinking of as we head into our meditation tonight. Now, I am going to ask everyone to get comfortable. Try to push away the thoughts of the day, the aches and pains that you may be feeling. I know it's harder for some than others. All I ask is that you do your best. Your best is good enough. I'm going to lead you through a series of deep breaths to get into the headspace. It's okay if you can't keep quite the pace that I'm setting. If you can't, then all I ask of you is to breathe deep and even. Try to relax your chest. Keep yourself as comfortable as you can, basically. And if you're one of those people for whom breathing exercises just do not work, then I want you to instead close your eyes and just focus on a rhythmic pattern of any sort that keeps you comfortable, whether it's the rhythmic tapping of a finger against your leg, the circle of a thumb against your palm, ticking of a clock in your room, Anything that you can focus on that'll help bring you deeper. Go ahead and settle in, and let's go ahead and take that first deep breath in. Hold it for a few seconds, if you can, and then breathe out. Take another deep breath in. Hold it. And breathe out. Breathe in. And out. One last time. Deep breath in. And as you breathe out for this last time, keep your eyes closed, if possible. And I want you to think about mist. Most of us have seen a misty morning. Those early hours before the sun has fully risen. The humidity in the air has coalesced into shrouds that waft across the grass in the early hours. Feel the cool mist as it caresses your skin. Find yourself in those morning hours. As you settle into yourself, you might feel a small breeze blowing through the canyon. Sand and small rocks beneath your feet. Somewhere in the distance, there is a soft gold light. If you can, I would like you to open the eyes of your mind rather than your physical eyes. And find yourself standing at the bottom of a canyon, shrouded in mist, two great stone walls on either side of you as the canyon winds forward. A small river is running next to you, headed off towards that distant light. It's time for dawn. The sun has not risen. I want you to follow that river down through the canyon. Go towards that light. And as you follow the river, I want you to think about what you want this year to be. Those of you who were with me during the previous rite know that I asked you what you would bring forward into this new cycle. What lessons have you learned from the previous one? What things do you want to happen now, or do you want to prevent from happening again? Whether this is the first time you've thought of these things, or the second, I want you to focus on these things as you move forward. Create an idea in your mind of what the future could be. Down at the bottom of the canyon, where the river flows into a lake, on the shores of that lake sits a broken ship, and on the deck of that ship sits that beautiful golden orb that carries growth and hope and future every day to all of the lives on our planet. Every year we suffer hardships, and every year we have to find a way to keep going in spite of them. Today, we are going to return our sun, our hope, up to the sky where it belongs. But in order to do that, we must first rebuild this ship. Feel around you in this space between spaces. You'll find pieces. Maybe they look to you like truly pieces of a ship, pieces of driftwood, pieces of broken mast, torn sails, snapped oars. Maybe they look like something completely metaphorical, little balls of light containing ideas, dreams. Gather up the pieces, and with each one, think not of an idea, but of an action. It's always easy to imagine a new future of peace, of happiness, but the hardest part is following up those ideas with actions, tangible actions. Each action that you take in this coming year may be only a little pebble thrown into the lake, but the ripples that that pebble creates have the power to shake the entire structure. And I want you to remember this as we rebuild. Each piece is an action. As you place the pieces on the ship and allow it to repair itself, name your actions. Perhaps you'll make a note to donate to food banks this year more than you would have previously. Maybe there are charities that you'd like to volunteer at. Maybe you'll use your social media presence to spread information that you find pertinent to creating that new world. Maybe you'll take time out of your day to care for people in your community who need extra help. Maybe you'll do as I do and collect stray cats to take down the feral population. There are many actions that we can take that'll make the world better, one little pebble at a time. With your intent, the hull of this great bark is repaired. With your will, its sails can catch the wind again. And with your love, its oars can function. Piece by piece, the ship is rebuilt. Is it the same ship, or is it an entirely new one? I think that the answer is both. It is a new ship for a new cycle, but it carries with it the pieces of the previous ones, the things that we've learned from that cycle, and all those who came before it. Now there's only one thing missing, and that something is you. Now that the ship is whole, imagine yourself stepping aboard it. Take that beautiful golden orb that we all love so much and carry it with you. With your will, let the ship raise up. Perhaps shaky at first, but then steady. Steady and constant, the way that life goes on and on, regardless of its hardships. Let the ship rise up above the mists of the canyon, up above the mountains, and into the dark sky that is slowly growing brighter. As you reach the sky, let go of that ball of gold and let it rise up into the sky, up beyond the earth, to shed its light across all of the life on earth, all of the life in our solar system. Where it shall remain each day until it sets again at the end of the cycle. The sun has risen. It is dawn. It is the time of growth, the time of new beginnings, the time of rebirth, a time for life to do what life does and change everything, one little pebble at a time. Your job here done, the bark releases you at the steps of a nearby mountain. Take a moment to reflect upon what you've done here, what it means to you. Recall those things that you used to repair the ship, and if it suits you, perhaps write them down when this ride is over so that you recall the promises that you've made to yourself and to the world as we all go forward. One more time, I would like to ask you to take 5 deep breaths with me. Breathe in. Hold it for a moment and breathe out. Once more, breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Last one, breathe in. Hold for a moment. And as you breathe out, open your eyes back inside yourself. and welcome to spring. May the coming year be everything that we want it to be. Thank you for joining me tonight for the Rite of Ascending, the second ritual in the 2024 Zephyr Lapis Wheel of Revolutions. I hope that you've all enjoyed yourselves, and I hope that you'll be with me next time. Have a good night, everyone, and thank you again to everyone in the Coven for supporting me on this journey, and everyone who's watching later on YouTube, thank you for your interest. Have a good year.